Legends, hello, Joey here, the Prophet, back with you for the Ruck podcast. Of course, we were not here last week. I, of course, had surgery last Monday. For those that may not know, did get my appendix out. So we're back to normal programming this week. Of course, I'm still in recovery at home, but everything will be back to normal. There will be Ruck Report tonight, and then, of course, Monday night recording tomorrow night with a weekly episode drop. But really good to be back. Look, missed you all, of course, last week, so great to be back. Luke, Melbourne Storm fan, says, hello, mate. Great to see you. Good win on the weekend. Let's get straight into it. So, obviously, we go back to Thursday night footy. The Roosters against the Melbourne Storm. Now, I actually really enjoyed this game. Of course, as most of you know, I'm a devout Chooks man myself. So, really, really good game. Usually, Melbourne have had the wood on us for a long time. I think we've beaten them once in about 22 starts. I think our last win was probably the grand final, 2018. Haven't really beaten them very often, so it was good to really match them. Got into the lead at one stage. We just couldn't hold it. I was very disappointed in the last 20 minutes from the boys and what I've seen again. They lose Jerome Hughes. You go, this is a chance to win, and you can't hold it. It just, it shocked me. It shocked me a lot. I thought that once Hughes went down, and of course, you know, we want to make sure Hughes is okay. So shout out to him and his family, and hope everything goes well. But as soon as Hughes went down, I thought this is now our chance. This is the Roosters' chance to get going and to win a game. But it just wasn't to be. 34-30. Look. For Melbourne to concede 30 points is still a lot, especially for a top four team, a team vying for the premiership. So, and especially against the Roosters, who, you know, this year there's been sort of no expectations with young guys, reserve graders playing, and I think, you know, a lot of them have done well. But it's just been a case of same old for the Roosters. You know, they've lost 7 games this year where they've led, and that's just not good enough. You think about that, that's 7 wins. 7 wins, we'd be well entrenched in the top 8 with those 7 wins. So, yeah, it's just crazy times. You know, you think you get in front, you know, can you hold the lead? But we just haven't been able to. Luke, Melbourne Storm fan, said, who do you think will replace Hughes for now for the Storm? It's interesting, mate. I don't know if they play Wishy at 7 or if they get Jonah Pezzett to come in at 7. It'd be one of them. I think Wishart has proven himself and he can sort of play anywhere. He's a really good utility player. So, yeah, I personally, I'd put Wishart there. But there's definitely a case for Jonah Pezzett as well. But, yeah, look, Hughes, Harry Grant just stood up in that moment. As soon as Hughes went off, Harry Grant said, this is my moment to own this game. And unfortunately, he did. And some soft tries for the middle for the Roosters. Josh King getting 2, Yatoika Manu getting 1. I mean, that's just so soft for the middle. And I love my Chooks, and I'm a diehard Chooks man. And you know, I bleed red, white, and blue. But I'm also our biggest critic. And I know we're playing with reserve graders. I know we've had a reserve grade squad this year. But we're now into round 21. We're 21 weeks through, and you know, these guys have played together for most of that period, so they should be well equipped to play these sort of games. But yeah, it wasn't to be. Roosters lost 2 in a row, so they head into Manly next week, which I'm hoping they can get a win after Manly's performance today. But we get into that. Let's jump into our next game. It was the Cowboys against the Dragons. Big win here for the Cows, I believe 38-32. But look, this one was a case of 2 halves. I really thought that Cowboys were going to put a massive score on, and then come the second half, Dragons looked electric. They really came back. They were within 4 points, and then Cowboys kicked back into gear. So they're really good. I thought Scotty Drinkwater was great for the Cows, but credit to the Dragons. Like, they only lost by a try, and they've had a lot of these games this year where they've come back. Look, one of the most underrated players for me plays for the Dragons, Jacob Little. Fantastic player, and I think that Little could start at most clubs. He scored another 2 tries in this game, and that's what he does. He comes on when they need it most, and he gets a try. So Luke, Melbourne Storm fan, said, in my opinion, I think even without Hughes, I still believe Melbourne can win the comp. Mate, Melbourne are dangerous. We saw that. You know, Harry Grant takes over and just runs his team. So Melbourne are dangerous no matter who they've got on their side. With Bellamy as coach, they're always a threat. So who knows? They definitely could, mate. Definitely could. And they're For me, they're probably still the forefront. I know a lot of people are talking about how good Penrith are playing, and we'll get into that very, very soon. But for me, they're at the forefront. They're Melbourne is still a benchmark, and I think they're going in the right direction. But talking on the Cowboys Dragons, of course, for us on the pod, special cup. Of course, Boxy and the Saint Cup. Boxy a mad Cowboys fan, the Saint, of course, a St George fan. So we had a bit of banter back and forth with the boys there. It was really good. But Cowboys coming out on top, they really needed this win. Todd Payton's been under a lot of pressure, and his job probably wasn't safe at the moment. So Cowboys really, really needed to get this. So it was a really, really good win for them. We move into the next game, Broncos and Eels. What a game this was. Eels finally getting the win, 22-20. Look, as much as, I don't support the Eels or the Broncos, it was so good to see the Eels win. So good to see them get a win. It's been a long season for them so far, and it was really happy, especially against the Queensland team, especially against the likes of the Bronx there, who, the Bronx just, they just collapsed. They just collapsed, and you add in Mitch Moses, who was absolutely electric in this game, and I thought, him coming back, he really made this Parramatta team shine, so it was really, really good to see him. But the Broncos, where do they go from here? Because they've been so hot and cold all season. You think, okay, they get on a good stretch, 4 or 5 wins in a row, and you think the Broncos are back, they're going to go all the way. And then they play a game like this. Reece Walsh, as much as he's a fantastic player, he's so rocks and diamonds. And, we saw that try at the end, which, bit of controversy. To me, it looked offside. Also, same with James Tedesco in the Melbourne game. I actually originally thought Tedesco was offside. There's been a lot that's come out since saying that, very 50-50 call. But my personal opinion was he was offside. I thought Walsh was offside straight away. And it's a real shame because, they left it to the last 20 seconds to try and win the game. If they had just done that, 10, 20 minutes earlier, they wouldn't have been in that situation. But shout out to Josh Adokar, who scored his 150th try, becomes the third youngest player to score 150 tries. So shout out to Joshy there. Very, very good. But great win for Para. And the best part is it moves Souths to 17th. Let's jump into some Saturday football now. Another shock to the system here, the Titans and the Warriors. Warriors, what is going on at the moment? They, last week they're playing the Knights, they're losing, they just win at the end, due to a charge down and the Knights not cleaning it up. And then they're playing this Titans outfit who, no disregard to Titans fans and no disrespect here, but, the Titans have been atrocious all season. And Desi, as good of a coach he is, you can only coach with what you got. And the Titans have not been good. So for them to get win in this one, 24-16 against a top 4 Warriors side was impressive. Very, very impressive from the Titans. Certainly wasn't on my bingo card that day, but, really, really good to see. And I think Jaden Campbell, he's such a cog in this team, and it's really interesting. I heard something during the week that he's being shopped to rivals, which does surprise me because they don't have a genuine 7 at the club. Foreign's retiring. They don't really have anyone coming through. So for me, I think you got to put all your money into keeping Campbell at the club. I thought AJ Brimson was really, really good in this game too, and when they get Keeney back, they'll be just as dangerous. Of course, missing Big Tino, so a really good win for the Titans in this one. Great to see, and again, it moves Souths down, so even better. The next Saturday game, of course, the Panthers against the Tigers, the Luai Taruva, Taylor May Cup, Luke Garner, we can throw him in there as well. All former players of both of these clubs, so great to see this game, but Panthers 36-2, absolutely demolishing the Tigers in this one. And look, Tigers fans, it's still been a better season. It's been a better season than the past couple of years. It's not a wooden spoon season at the moment. Slightly better. I think they'll build over the next few seasons based on recruitment and who they can get, what they can do. But the Panthers, they just look so good at the moment. 7 wins in a row, and it's so scary. So scary. When you see this team and when they start playing like this, you go, holy crap, here we go again. And you know what? No team has ever won the comp from outside the top 4. There is every chance that Panthers do this. There's every chance that Penrith finish 5th and they go on to win the grand final. And if they do, I'm boycotting rugby league for another year. I can't see another Penrith grand final. They've been in 5 in 6 years or 5 years, whatever it is, and it's just crazy. So, yeah, look, credit to them though. Another fantastic win. Nathan Cleary was absolutely on. Dylan Edwards was really good in this game. Thought Lindsay Smith was great up front for Penrith Panthers. I thought Lindsay Smith really, really changed this game. I thought he brought a lot of impact. For the Tigers, not really much to say. 2 points. I mean, when you score 2 points, what do you want? I mean, to not get over the stripe, they dropped too much ball. There was so many opportunities they had. They were close so many times to scoring and just couldn't hold the ball. So, unfortunately, if you play like that, you're never going to win, especially against a team like Penrith. So, Luke, Melbourne Storm fan, said, as a Melbourne Storm fan, I hope Penrith doesn't win the grand final again. Yeah, mate. Look, I hope Penrith and Melbourne both aren't there. It'd be nice to see a couple of other teams. I think Raiders are going really well. Good to see Doggies up there at the moment too. So I'd like to see either of them in the grand final without Melbourne or without Penrith. Shout out to everyone who has joined. Thank you so much. Don't forget, put your comments in and we'll read them as we go. All right, our third Saturday game. We move on from the Penrith game, and which as well, by all regards, at CommBank, Tigers now using that as their home game too. So technically, it was a home game against a home game, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, look, Penrith. I'm so nervous watching this team play because they were last. Halfway through the season, they were last, and no one gave them a chance in this one. No one gave them a chance halfway through the season, and they've just shown how good they are. Anyway, we're jumping to our next game. It was the Rabbitohs against the Sharks down at Gosford, my neck of the woods, Central Coast. Shout out to the Sunny Coast there. But the Sharks getting it done 14-12 in this game. Now, interesting. The Sharks, a lot of us, especially on our podcast, we had Sharks 13+. The Rabbitohs have about 12 injuries at the moment. Almost a full squad is out. But yeah, look, Sharks get it done. It doesn't matter how many points you win by as long as you get the win. And but one player I do want to shout out from the Rabbitohs, and I don't do this often because there's the Rabbitohs, but Brock Gray, their young hooker, he made 69 tackles in 68 minutes, or it might be the other way around. 68 tackles in 69 minutes. That's incredible. That's almost a tackle a minute. So, shout out to Brock Gray. I thought he was really, really good at hooker for South Sydney. But just a bludger of a game. Like the first half, there was just nothing doing. I thought Sharks had a lot of possession, but just couldn't get going. And then the second half, I think they obviously had the boot up them from Fitzy and started to get going, which was great. Ryan Fancy said, woo, thriller. Yeah, it was, mate. Absolute thriller, this one. But yeah, look, Sharks get it done, 14-12, and they keep on moving up the ladder. And unfortunately for South Sydney, I mean, not unfortunately, but unfortunately for South Sydney, this moves them down to 17th, which is last place on the ladder now. They want to hope they don't win. If Eels and Titans win another couple, then they will be truly cemented in last place. And we might have to go back to 2000. Maybe we'll kick them out of the comp again. No, I'm just joking. I love all you Rabbitohs fans, of course. Let's jump into some Sunday Arvo footy. Of course, today, 2 p.m. was a fantastic game. Our first one, of course, Raiders and Newcastle. Now, heading into this game, I think a lot of people would have said Raiders 13+, but be wary of Newcastle because they were really good against the Warriors last week, almost getting the win. First half, Newcastle looked good. They matched it with them. 18-all at half-time, and I thought, okay, this is going to be good. This is going to be a really, really good second half. But second half, Raiders just showed their class and just absolutely blew them out of the water. And, they just showed why they're top four at the moment. And I think the Raiders, they're just looking so electric. And they've got so many fast players out on the wings, Savage and Jed Stewart, and then Ko Weeks at the back. I love Ko Weeks. I love what he's doing at the moment. He's a fantastic player. And so really good to see the Raiders carving up again. They're sort of everyone's second favourite team. You don't really hate the Raiders. It's really good to see them doing well. For the Knights, lots to talk about. Adam O'Brien, he's been backed by the CEO. Oh, he's not going anywhere, blah, 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 blah. I just think they need a change. They need something to happen. Again, as I've always said, Ponga's not there at the moment. He doesn't look happy. A game like that, though, they really needed a recognised 7. They needed someone to calm the team down and say, all right, we're going to kick to the corners, we're going to chase is what we're going to do. Someone like a Dylan Brown, of course, who they're getting next year. Personally, I don't think he's a 7, but I think he would have been able to calm this team down. Of course, they made changes. Cogger started and then Gamble moved into 5'8", and they moved Hastings to the bench, which, again, just blew my mind. I just don't understand all the shuffling at Newcastle and why they're always shuffling players around. But look, a great win for the Raiders, of course, 44-18. So fantastic there. Luke Melbourne Storm fan said, I can actually see a Storm versus Bulldogs grand final. That's my grand final, I have a feeling. Mate, would be great to see the Dogs there, and hopefully the Dogs win that one. And let's jump into our last game of the round. Of course, the Manly Sea Eagles against the Bulldogs. Now, we have some egg on our face in this one, especially the Dongle and myself. We both took Manly to win this game. Dogs haven't looked great over the past couple of weeks. Almost lost to the Dragons last week, Cowboys a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought maybe there's a chance. Manly looked good against Melbourne last week. Well, the Dogs flew out of the box, didn't they? They looked absolutely incredible in this game. Did not miss a beat. Ryan Fancy said, shit decision, Hastings to start. Yeah, look, I completely agree. I don't know why they changed it. And then Luke Melbourne Storm fan, hope not as a Storm fan. Yeah, mate, for sure. Bulldogs. Now, as much as a lot of us are anti-Galvin and, everything that went on there, a lot of people have an opinion whether they like Galvin, whether they don't. Whether you do or you don't, he was great in this game. He was so good, in my opinion. I thought he was really, really good, and you could just see that he's going to be a talent. And, you can see why they signed him. I mean, the kid's a generational talent. He's one that he plays off feeling. He can just sense that something's going to happen and just go from there. So really, really good to see Lachie Galvin having a good game in this one. Manly, I thought DCE was really good. Tried to get his team back into this game. Tommy Turbo playing both sides was great as well. But, of course, Glassjaw, as he is, caught up with him and looks like he may have done his knee again. Can't catch a break, poor Tommy. Olakawatu as well, also gone. It looks like maybe season as well. So, interesting for Manly. They do have a tough run. Of course, they've got the Roosters next week, which will be a really interesting game. My Chookies, of course. Chooks really need a win. So, they'll be playing for that 8th spot with Dolphins the week after that. So, it'll be interesting to see where Manly go. But, yeah, I was really impressed with Cherry Evans in this game. Thought he tried to get his team back into this, ran across field a lot. Jason Saab, though, man, lots of errors. Lots of errors today in Saab's game. Fantastic try that he scored, but lots of errors. You just can't. Against a team like the Dogs and how well they're going this year, you can't be making errors. You can't be dropping the ball. You can't be dropping the ball in good field position as well, because it just does not help at all. So, look, credit to Manly. They tried to get back into the game, but the Dogs were just too good in this one. Look, that's it for round 21. Heading into round 22, going to be absolutely great this week. Supercoach, not much to talk about. I got 1,139 this week. A good score, of course. Nathan Cleary, 119, I believe it was, 116 or 119. He was great. He was really, really good, Cleary, this week. I did captain Terrell May, 70-odd, so 140-odd, whatever it was as captain. But, I think we're almost back to captaining Cleary again because of the form he's in and the form that Penrith are in at the moment. Nothing really else to talk about. We are recording tomorrow night, so we will drop the viewer questions post tomorrow. So please get your questions in for the podcast. Episode 119. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. Thank you to everyone who checked in on me as well last week while I was in hospital. I really do appreciate it. And we are back and we are raring to go. The boys are ready. But until next time, I'm the Prophet. Be good.